Sam, which platform do you think is better?
Well, YouTube was built on cat videos. VidMe was built on porn. I can only jerk off to one of those two things.
There we have it, boys and girls. Porn always wins.
I was talking about the cat videos.
Hey guys, I'm back with another video. Today, we are obviously talking about YouTube and VidMe and kind of a comparison between the two. It's not necessarily a video about which one's better than the other one, but more like what each service or each platform could learn from the other platform. Also, my hair is not cooperating with me at all today, so bear with me. So in order to get the best idea of both of these platforms, I want to compare 5 key aspects, which include discoverability, community, profitability, UI, user interface, and analytics. So first up, discoverability. This is the most important aspect to any one of these platforms because it allows you, first of all, to be seen and heard and to build the other aspects like community and profitability. If you can't be discovered, you can't do anything. So discoverability is very important. We all know VidMe has a much smaller community and a much smaller user base than YouTube. This is a huge advantage because every new noob like me can come on and at least be given a few minutes in the spotlight. Whereas on YouTube, there's like hundreds or thousands of videos uploaded like every second. So if you're gonna be buried immediately. So just off of that aspect, VidMe does have like a higher discoverability without taking anything else into account. However, it's missing a lot of tools for discoverability that YouTube has implemented and that still work kind of well within YouTube, even if you are a smaller channel. This includes things such as tags and annotations, cards, and the fact that YouTube is Google. So literally, if you actually optimize your video properly and have a bunch of keywords and tags in the description and all of that kind of stuff and put cards here and there, anything you search in Google or YouTube will pick up on those tags, which is a huge advantage if you want to be discovered, especially if you're hitting on a topic that's popular at that time. VidMe, on the other hand, does use like hashtags that you can put in the description for the video that, as far as I know, mainly work within VidMe and Reddit. But this is nowhere near the search engine optimization that you can do within Google or YouTube or any of those services owned by Google. And another thing that I think VidMe can add, like a big feature that I kind of miss from YouTube, are annotations and cards, because these allow you to kind of link your other videos directly within the video that an audience is watching. If that person isn't subscribed to you, it's really easy for them to kind of see a card that might be interesting to them and click on it, and it'll link you to another one of your videos. If they like that video as well, they might actually subscribe to you. So that's like it's a big thing that I hope VidMe adds really soon, but I think VidMe knows what they're doing. They're onto it. And VidMe actually has real people looking at your content, verifying you, and kind of supporting creators that they kind of curate themselves. So that's really, really cool. So I think for new users and in general, VidMe is more discoverable even without all those YouTube tools. However, if VidMe did gain those tools, it would be awesome. Now let's talk about community.
Cats and porn stars.
Community, I find, is much better on VidMe. It has that small town feel. Obviously, we talked about how VidMe has nowhere near the large user base that YouTube does. So I feel like everyone is much more friendly, much more inviting.
With legs wide open.
And you don't get a bunch of those trolls that you see on the surface of YouTube. YouTube is kind of like the big city. You can find awesome pockets of community, and if you want to, you can create a really cool community on YouTube. Many of the channels I follow have really good communities. Other channels have horrible communities filled with trolls, but it's just because YouTube has so many more people. So on the surface, it's just kind of a shit show a lot of the time. Honestly, if you read the comments and all that kind of stuff, it's brutal on YouTube, to be honest. But if you curate your audience a little bit, you can build a pretty good community for yourself. But the general community of YouTube is very... I feel like creators that come to VidMe are serious about the content they produce, and they do want to share their content. It's not just some viral cat video. It's not some trolly ass video. They are making something, or they have opinions on something, and they want to share that. And they feel like they can grow faster on VidMe, which is why I feel like VidMe's community is so good, because the creators that come over are serious about the content they make. And the audience, the community and the user base, they also come to VidMe because, you know, obviously they have a whole bunch of people they can follow on YouTube, but if they want to find new people, there's no better place to do that than VidMe right now. So I feel like both the creators and the audience that actually goes to VidMe, they're serious about their content, and they're serious about watching content, and they're not generally not like the trolley type that just wants to spew hate everywhere. So for that reason, I think VidMe's community is really cool. Obviously though, I myself, I'm also on YouTube, and I'm trying to create a very similar community over there as well. And my whole channel is kind of leaned towards people actually communicating with each other and having real discussions, and not just hating each other and throwing labels and arguments everywhere. So I hope that that goes well on YouTube too, but who knows, it might turn into a shit show.
You're fucked.
So here's something a lot of people care about, which is profitability. Obviously, if you're making videos, you better like what you're doing, even if you're doing it for free. Because if you don't have the passion to do it, your videos just aren't going to be good, and no one's going to watch you, and you're not going to make money anyways. However, if you so happen to grow a cool user base, and people follow you and subscribe to you, and things are looking awesome, how can you profit from VidMe or YouTube? Well, they use two completely different types of systems. So YouTube makes money from their advertisers. So you basically can sign up for AdSense, and you get a small share of any of the advertiser revenue that comes through your video. However, there are some downsides to that. First of all, it's not a lot of money. Like per 1,000 views, from what I've seen, you get about $1 or so. So, I mean, again, you can't complain, but it's not necessarily the greatest income ever. But the big downside to it is that you're kind of beholden to advertisers. So if you're not advertiser friendly, you're not gonna make any money, because YouTube's gonna shut your shit down like fucking Negan with a baseball bat to your head. So if you're relying on ads, you better make some safe content. VidMe, on the other hand, takes a lot of cues from like Twitch, from what I see, with the tipping system. If someone wanted to tip, they can tip you $1, they can tip you $5, $20. So let's say that on average per 1,000 views that you get, someone or a couple people tip you $1, you're already making more money just on that tipping system, just from your user base, than you are on YouTube. And the advantage to that is also that you're not beholden to advertisers. If you please your audience, or also if your audience just really loves you and what you do, it doesn't matter if your content isn't safe. If your audience loves what you do, they'll reward you for it. And that's just a much better feeling. Like, that money feels much better than advertising money, I guess you could say, right? Now, obviously on both platforms, there are more ways to become profitable. You might have sponsorships, you might have a Patreon account. All of those things really help drive. So in general, if you do want to make your channel profitable, you're probably not just relying on one thing. You're probably relying on maybe some advertisements, maybe some tips, maybe some Patreon, maybe some sponsorships, whatever. You just don't want to overdo it and become a bot out. Now, also, just to end this one section, VidMe is also trying to introduce advertising. So it should be very interesting how they handle that situation, how that benefits us or doesn't benefit us on that platform, and if they implement it in a similar way that YouTube does or not, and what type of advertisers those are. Like, I think there's a lot of potential in advertising for more curated advertising. So I wonder if VidMe is trying to figure out a more intelligent way and a more user-friendly way to do advertising. So hopefully that all works out. I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with that. Now let's talk about UI, user interface, which I think is really important. I want things to be snappy, fast, good animations, and easy to get around the platform. Now, VidMe, I think, is a pretty clean website, and they've done a really good job at kind of taking out all the trash, making it easy to find things. Like there's tabs for everything, new content, hot content, creators, categories. It's very easy to find your way around the site. For creators, it's easy to create kind of like playlists and albums, just like on YouTube. For creators, it's easy to kind of create playlists and albums on your channel, just like it is on YouTube. And also notifications work in a very similar way to YouTube, although I do think YouTube used to, like the old system YouTube had was the best system where you could just reply to your notifications right in the notifications tab. Now they've gotten rid of that too. And VidMe now has a very similar system to what YouTube currently is, so I feel like neither of them win out there. However, I do think YouTube does have a slightly better interface. Things are snappier, videos and everything load faster. But again, they've been around for a long time. They're a huge company. They put a lot of optimization into the website. Sometimes they change too many things too fast for not better or worse, but just for change. And sometimes it is worse, and it does get worse. I feel like the last few updates have been worse than what we've had previously. I feel like VidMe, so far from what I've seen, every kind of change they make seems to have some purpose behind it that at least makes sense to me more than what YouTube's done. So I think on the surface, the UI, whether it's their mobile apps or their desktop websites, are very similar. Again, I wish VidMe was a little bit faster. That's it. However, the next thing also kind of ties into user interface, but I'm talking about analytics. This YouTube wins outright. VidMe doesn't even really have analytics, and I hope they implement it, because creators do want to see where their audience is coming from, how long their audience is watching, all of that kind of stuff. VidMe has none of that. So I really hope they start implementing that and that they're working on that. YouTube's done this really well. There's a lot of analytics, a lot of information on your videos and on your audience that you can see. And that just helps you grow. It helps you know how you're doing, aside from just like subscriber count and likes to dislikes ratio. So analytics, this doesn't have to be a long topic. YouTube's just doing it right. VidMe isn't doing it at all at the moment, and I hope they're working on it, because that's a really cool thing. So analytics are awesome. I hope that comes to VidMe. So guys, thank you for watching. What do you think? If you're a creator, which platform are you on? Are you on both? I think you should be, for good reasons. However, which one do you prefer? What would you like to see from each platform? Do you kind of agree with what I said or disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you're an audience member, which community do you prefer? Which interface do you prefer? What are some of the features you'd like to see? Also, let me know down below. I'm actually really curious to see if my opinion kind of lines up with others on this subject. I do think both platforms are awesome. YouTube has a lot of controversy behind it right now, and the advertising system is kind of batshit crazy right now as far as what they're doing with that, which is why I think VidMe is an awesome alternative, and it's growing fast, and I hope it becomes a real competitor to YouTube. In my eyes, it's almost there. So let me know what you think. If you liked the video, feel free to stick around. I'd love you to join me. Give the video a like if you liked it, and remember, take everything with a grain of salt, including this video. Have a good one, my friends.